Hi, thanks for joining. My name is Keri Barnum. I am the Executive Director for New Shelves Books, and we are here for Free Advice Friday, where we come every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to answer your publishing, book marketing, author questions for free. It's just kind of our way to give back to the community, and I'm so glad that you've joined us. We've got lots of questions today, and I just can't wait to get started. Let's see. So the first question comes in from Lori, and Lori is asking a time frame to publish if waiting until the 1st of 2021 for nonfiction, non-holiday book. So Lori, if you are here, will you hop over to the chat? If your book is nonfiction, can you tell me a little bit more about it? What genre are you in? Are you in health? Are you in social justice? Okay, I like it. So since you're not in health, I would say you need to wait until after that big rush has gone through. What will happen is January, the market will be saturated with the people trying to help you get healthier habits, nutrition, cookbooks, like all of that stuff will just be saturated in January. If you're doing social justice, I would try to pick a point or a date that ties in to your book. If it's social justice and it has to do with a certain group or something like that, see if there's a historical event that you could, make your launch coincide with. If there's not, then I would still go probably February, March is a really good time. So that's what I would do. Again, if you can connect your book to a big event in history, a historical justice decision, anything like that, you connect it to it. And suddenly not only are you talking about your book, you're talking about another event, and that will bring in more interest. And also it just furthers what you're doing, especially if you're doing something with social justice. Exactly. Wendy is saying, what about Martin Luther King Day for social justice? So it just, again, it really depends on what your book is about, but tie it to something, and I think that will do really well for you. All right, got that one. Dave is asking, do you have any info on how indie book sales went during the pandemic? I would think they did better unless money was a problem. Here's the thing. The stats are really interesting. In some ways, sales were rocky. Big publishing houses, I think, saw that. However, they are learning and adapting that digital marketing and ebooks actually have a lot of value. Previously, the traditional publishing market spent a lot of their push on physical books, but they are starting to take note that ebooks are something that is very popular right now, and they're shifting that way. And I just read something that at the end of 2019, book sales were actually up, which was the beginning of this. And I think that if anything, we will see print books may go down a little bit, but ebooks are going up. And I do think it'll even off. People have been home. So I think it's going to be something where a lot of people actually had off and they had time to read where they hadn't previously. So we'll see, but I think that book sales did okay. I think that people who relied on mostly libraries and bookstores are hurting because a lot of those were closed. However, the people who were set up online, who were pushing digital promotions, online sales through Barnes & Noble, from indie books, from Chapters Indigo, all of those places, I think they're actually probably doing okay. So we will keep up to date. If you do not already subscribe to the New Shelves newsletter, I highly recommend you do. Those are the type of articles that we are constantly looking for, reading and pushing through. We send it out every Tuesday. So if you want that, go to newshelves.com and sign up for our newsletter. All right. And we have Winnie here today. Hi, Winnie. Winnie joined us actually from a recommendation on Twitter. So it's so fun to have you today. And Winnie is using a advanced review program called Booksprout. Booksprout is a program where you put your books, your ebook up online, and they pair your book with reviewers and they do follow-up. It's a bit like NetGalley. You have to, as a reviewer, have a subscription, all that jazz. It is free to sign up. However, Booksprout, it's free to sign up, but if you actually want them to work hard for you, it's got a subscription program. There's $20 a month, I think, is their highest, and then there's $10 a month, and there might be something lower. However, if you're looking for reviews, Booksprout may be super interesting for you. It's becoming more popular lately, definitely since I'd say April, May. So check it out. And if you are using this or BookFunnel or NetGalley, if you have your book up online and you really want to get the reviews out, you really have to promote it, right? Even if you're on NetGalley, there are so many books on there that if you don't talk about your book and have people go request it, you're not going to get as much of a great response. So I would be pushing people to those sites. I would be telling people, I am with NetGalley, I'm with Booksprout, and a very select number of reviewers is getting a copy of my book, but you can go apply. It's free, you can read it. So I think using your online opportunities, your social media is great. And another great thing is using Facebook communities online, obviously, Facebook. So Facebook reading communities are huge. There are some really basic ones that are just reader groups, and then there are groups that very specifically go to genres. So it's sci-fi, it's historical fiction, it's young adult, it's children's books. Like, they're all over. And so when you go to these groups, I'm not saying go and spam them. Please don't do that. However, before you even get to the point of needing an advanced review from anybody, start getting into these groups. Start participating every once in a while, throwing things out. Many times, if you are a regular person in these groups, they will allow you to post a link if you ask. Or if the group is really big, they may have a lot of them have one day where they allow authors to put out their promotions. These are literally a group of readers who like books like yours, who are voracious readers and usually are very happy for a free copy. So if you start to get into the community, the reader community, then suddenly you have all of these opportunities because you're making friends so that when the time comes, there are people you can call on. So put it out on social media, ask your friends, your family to share. I always say your friends, your family, they may not like your genre. They may not like your book. My husband really likes sci-fi, not super my thing. So if he ever wrote a book that was a sci-fi, I would probably read it because I love him that much. But I would much more likely be willing to share it to other people online, which costs me nothing and takes 2 seconds, than to actually sit down and enjoy reading it. So ask the people that you have in your community to like it, to share it, to just, if they have someone in their community they think would like it. And then also get into those reader groups and see if there's any type of opportunities there. And if you are in an author group, talk to them about cross promotion. Are you willing to talk about my book and I'll talk about your book? There's a lot of ways to help each other in that way. All right. And I hope that helped. If you still have questions, Winnie, just let me know. All right. All right. Sonia has a question about pre-orders. A blogger asked me for a link to my pre-orders and another editorial reviewer wants 12 copies for his clients. What do you think about pre-orders from your website, and can I sell copies before pub date or just take the orders? It's a bit of a gray spot. 2 things. If it's an advanced review copy and you're giving it away, absolutely. You can do it from your website, from BookFunnel, whichever you like. If you're doing pre-orders, just know that if you're selling from your website, it will not help you rank anywhere. It's fine. It just won't help you rank anywhere. If you and to do a pre-order through Amazon, it's important to know that your ranking, that your sales start the day your pre-order starts. So it used to be that you could stack up all these pre-orders and then launch day comes and you hit a bunch of categories and #1 bestseller and yay, but Amazon caught on to that. So what happens now is that they start your ranking immediately. So if you put your pre-order up and no one's going to the page, no one's ordering it, what happens is it tells the Amazon algorithms, no one really likes it. Let's start putting it down on the searches. We don't want that. So I think you have to be careful with pre-orders. However, if having a pre-order up will give you big opportunities and you don't really think you're going to, you know, come out with a bestseller in the first 2 days, something like that anyway, then weigh your options there. Putting pre-orders up online and not selling them on your website is absolutely fine also. You can say it's on my website. You can go order there. Again, just know it doesn't go towards your categories, your ranking. It won't go towards any bestseller lists. But you can do that because if you just want to get those sales, better to have the sale than not have the sale. Again, your personal needs with nonfiction, it may be worth it because usually nonfiction is tied to a business. It's something like that. But if you're fiction and you're really trying to hit more of a seller list, I think that's something to consider. All right. And Steve is asking a follow-up question to Booksprout. I do not have the link right now, but we will post it on the Free Advice Friday website when we do the replay. So we will do that for you, Steve. And then also asking about excuse me, distinguishing Facebook reader groups versus discount groups. Very easy. Usually a reader group will specifically say no promotion unless permitted. So you go to reader groups, not discount books. So I think I love reading as one. Like there's some super basic ones. If you search the name, you'll find them. But also you can kind of see if it's a public group, you can see the kind of posts that go on. And you'll see the difference between the ones that are asking about books and the ones that are obviously just promo link after promo link. All right, you're welcome, Winnie. Thanks for joining us today. All right, and we've got more and more questions coming through, so give me a second here. Molly has a question about using BookFunnel. I posted to some writer groups on Facebook to request reviews for her book, The Pickle Fry Twins. Super cute, go check it out. Pickle Fry Twins is a chapter books for young children. The only way I could send them a book was if they give me their email address and messages, but they either didn't want to do that or didn't work for them. Can I send them a link to BookFunnel on Facebook directly without getting their email address? Yes, if you have a BookFunnel account, you need to set up a landing page. A landing page will give you a link that you can then share, and then you can go out and just share it and they can download it. You can set it so they don't need an email address and they just get it, or that they do need an email address and they have to subscribe to your list. Or you can say you have to use an email address, but it's up to you if you join my list or not. So you have options there. Molly, since we're working together already, if you email me, I will be more than happy to get you set up with that to make sure that it's working harder for you. All right. All right, I see a couple of questions coming up in the chat. If you guys would just be so wonderful and put it in the Q&A box, that would be so helpful to me because my chat, it's scrolling the whole time. I'm getting comments and questions and things like that, and I'm trying to look at both. But if you have a question you want answered, pretty please put it in the Q&A box. That helps me a lot. All right, and Rich is asking about branding. I was a real estate broker for 30 years and have written 8 books on real estate. That's awesome, Rich. I know that you've done that. You've got a lot of experience, but what's your question exactly? Are you asking how to brand? If so, you need to pick a theme. You need to make everything look similar on every platform. You need to have a clear message and make sure that that message is absolutely out there, whether they are on your Facebook, your website, it's on your books. Branding is all about being cohesive and having a clear message that anyone can glance and recognize. So whether that message is your genre, romantic fantasy, or it is a message about not being taken advantage of in real estate or how to sell real estate, whatever it may be, you just need cohesion, and it's got to be repetitive over and over. No matter where people see you, they should get the same branding. But if you have follow-up questions, let me know. All right, David is asking, what marketing do you recommend for the best bang for the buck? Pre-publication, nonfiction, zero to very low budget. David, if you're here, and I know you are, hop over onto the chat for me and tell me what your genre is. I think you've probably told me before, but I'm afraid I don't remember at the moment. So if you can go over to the chat and tell me what your book genre is. History about post offices. I do remember this. All right, so if you are low on budget, but you want to promote your book, I'm afraid you're gonna have to put some legwork in. So you can do a lot for very little money if you're willing to research and reach out to people. So since your book is surrounding history and post offices, I would be trying to find people in post offices who are willing to talk about your book. If there's any historic post office that you're featuring, see if you can connect to them with a big anniversary, or I'm talking about your post office in my book. Would you be willing to give me a quote for marketing? It's a post office. Are they willing to let you do book signings? Kind of hard right now, but are they willing to sell your book? Can you take pictures in front of their post office? I know the answer is yes to that, but I would be looking for creative ways. And then I would also be trying to tie into the municipality. If you are in a certain state or certain area and you're talking about their post offices, reach out to them. Would the local paper be interested in writing an article about you and your book? It totally is all about old historic post offices in their area. There are a lot of things like that that will get picked up locally. So let's say your book is about historical post offices in 15 different cities. Can you find a local paper or blog in each of those 15 cities and pitch your book and you as a interview or as an article idea? If so, you've suddenly got 15 different places that are doing your promotion for you. Basically, they're sharing their audience and they're doing that. So brainstorm ideas and ways. Again, connection is where it's at. You have to get a connection, find one. If you don't think there is one, I promise you there is. Everything's connected somehow. So find a connection and then see how you can use it. That again, it doesn't have to cost anything or much, but you do have to put in the legwork. You do have to go out there, pitch yourself. And so try it. And if it works, let us know. I'd love to hear back from you. Okay, timing of audiobook. You have shared to do paper and ebook at the same time. When for audio? So Lori, if you have them all at the same time, you can absolutely release a paper, ebook, and audio all at the same time. However, there are a lot of people who do an audiobook anywhere from 3 to 12 months after the launch of your ebook and your paper book. And the reason why is that when you do that, you have a brand new launch, you have something new and fresh to share. So as you launch your ebook and your paperback, you've got it out there, you're getting reviews, you're doing exciting things. When your audiobook comes out, it gives you something new and exciting to talk about. It gives you something new to market that still leads back to your book. So rather than just saying, hey, go get my paperback again, hey, still here, you have something to say, hey, for everyone who really isn't into paperback or who doesn't have the time to pull out their Kindle and read, great news for you. We've got an audiobook that you can listen to on your commute to work. So use it as a way to reach out to a new audience by also reminding your audience who may be into paperbacks that you've got other options. So that's what I like to do. Generally 6 months out is my preferred time for an audiobook. All right. Okay. So let me see. We've got Cheryl here, and Cheryl is a physical therapist who wrote a bilingual book on development intended for parents. And she has had recommendations to reach out to hospitals and universities. The question is who to contact at hospitals or hotels. Okay, so Cheryl, if you are trying to reach out to hospitals, my question is the book for the people who are there, like gift shops, or is the book for the doctors, the nurses, that kind of thing? If the book is for doctors and nurses, then you need to reach out to hospital management probably. If your book is for the parents or the people in the hospital, the gift shop, you need to go to gift shops. And I believe we talked about that a little bit last week. Lori's gift shop is a really big one. So if you want more information on that, Lori's gift shop is a huge shop. That's where I'd be looking. Excuse me. So reach out to the gift shops, not to the hospitals. Very rarely do hospitals run their own stores. They all go through gift shops, or not all of them, but most of them. So that's where I would stop. Yep. And then Bob is saying most hospitals have libraries, if this is just as much about helping. So that's true also. Many hospitals do have libraries that they have open. Again, I think you would go to the overall management group. That's probably where a lot of that comes from. And most libraries, I believe, are run strictly by volunteers and donations. So look at the hospitals you're trying to target and then put something in there, or look for a hospital group and search it on Google with hospital group plus libraries, or hospital group plus bookstore, gift shop, something like that. I'm afraid it does take some legwork, absolutely. But if that is your niche, if that's your market, that's what you do. As far as universities, my question is, again, are you trying to get into their bookstore? Are you trying to get into their libraries? Most universities have both. So if you're trying to get it into universities, if you want it in their bookstore, the best way to go about it is to try to get it made as part of the curriculum. And if that's the case, you need to go and form a plan of how your book could work in a certain curriculum. You need to have a really strong pitch, and then you need to go to the department head that would be teaching a class surrounding that and pitch it to them. I am so sorry, you guys. I'm gonna reach down and get my water. All right, sorry about that. Struggling. All right. I have this really old, it's really sad. I hate to throw away these plastic cups that they give you when you buy lemonade. And so I keep them and I use them because it kills me to throw away the plastic cups. Random, but there you go. A little bit about me. Let's see. Look, thank you, you guys. That's right. Save the earth, reduce, reuse, recycle. All right. So we have Miss Barbara, and Barbara is asking the 3 most important steps you can take to marketing your book. If you're marketing, where's the most important place to start? Meaning if you're in an overwhelm, where do you place your priorities if you are starting from scratch? Barbara, that's an amazing question because so many people do this. I talk to authors all the time who go, I need to do this and this and this and this, and I don't know where to start and I'm overwhelmed, so I did nothing. And that's not what we want. There are so many marketing ideas, but you don't have to do them all. And that's really important for you to know. You need to look at all the marketing ideas and options that you have, find out which ones feel like a good fit for you in your book, and then pick 3, just 3, and say, I'm going to set these up. I'm going to do this. Give yourself a calendar, a checklist, whatever works best for you, and go from there. So if your book is about to launch, some ideas might be for a launch, finding a review team, people who are willing to review your book, setting up a book blog if that makes sense for you. Again, we absolutely love virtual tours. There's an article on the book designer Joel Freelander's site that I wrote a couple months ago. It's got a list of our favorite book bloggers. Highly recommend that if you're looking for a book blog, you do that. It's great for SEO and can build up your reviews. And then also simply making sure that you have your launch campaign. When I say launch campaign, it doesn't have to be crazy, but if you've got social media, do you have a graphic to share? Do you have a post plan? If you have a newsletter, do you have a letter written? These are all things that you can do in advance. So I would say find what you can do, find what you want to do, you can afford. Give yourself 3 items, give yourself a schedule. Don't just say, oh, well, I will set up a virtual tour. Set yourself up on a schedule. This week, I will contact so-and-so and get pricing. Give yourself a schedule so that it's little chunks. I don't know, I'm one of those people that I like checklists, I do. And so if I give myself a checklist, I'm so much more likely to do it. And it feels less overwhelming because I can see the steps. And as I do them, I can check them off. So don't get overwhelmed. Just take it slow and steady. Totally got this. All right. For anyone, I've got a couple of questions asking me to evaluate a book, to work with us, that kind of thing. If you want to work with New Shelves, if you'd like to work with me or have a question very specific to your book, please email us, you guys, info@newshelves.com. And that goes directly to me. I do answer those. And we do offer a free 15-minute consultation for anyone who's interested in working with us. So if you've got quick questions that are very, very specific to your book, please email me. I would love to hear from you, info@newshelves.com. And I'll actually put that in here. There we go. And Bob is saying Trello.com is a great tool for to-do list, and it's free. Absolutely. If you like to-do lists and you want to keep them virtually, Trello.com is amazing. If you like to handwrite things, get a notebook. Please do not do this on sticky notes. It won't work well. But if you get a spiral bound notebook and write it down, or a planner, do what feels good to you. All right. Let me see. Wow, you guys are awesome. We have so many questions today. So follow-up questions. I'm considering booking a blog tour. The company I'm looking at has various offerings, including stops with blurbs and excerpts, and others in which you participate with content and Q&As, which is more effective in your experience. My book is about relationships. If your book is about relationships, I would think that a Q&A would actually do really well. Many blog tours will actually combine it. They will do a combination of stops and blurbs and reviews, and then you have a couple where there's a Q&A or you submit an article, certain things like that. I know that most of the ones I do that, they've got, let's say 15 stops, and it's like 5 that are guest posting or Q&A, 5 that are just a feature, and 5 that are a review. So they split it up. And also, you guys, the people who run these blog tours, they are amazing. And they do this all the time. When I have a question, my blogger buddy over at R&R Book Tour, Shannon, I just say, Shannon, I've got this book. What do you recommend? And she is so good about saying, oh, your book will not do well for a blog tour. I can take your money, but it's not going to do well. What if we do a book blitz? Or what if we do this or that? So these people are specialists in what they do. If you are looking at a blog tour and you're kind of overwhelmed with what to choose for their packaging, ask them and just see what they say. See what their advice is based on your book genre. Again, the list that we have come up with, I believe there's 7 or 8 over on the Book Designer. These are all people we've worked with, and they're all fantastic. So don't be afraid to ask them. It works out really well. All right. We've got Miss Barbara, and her book, Grace from Space, A Race to Save Earth, is recasting illegal immigration children in the role of superheroes from outer space. Where's the biggest hook? Well, I think you just said it. Tying it to immigration, will be a big hook for parents and for adults. So you can absolutely do that. But I think that since it's a children's book, Barb, that I would be really concentrating on not just that it's about immigrant children. I would be saying it helps children learn empathy. Empathy is a really big deal. As a parent myself, I think it's so important that we not just tell our kids racism is wrong, that, we should treat everyone equal, but empathy. I think it's important, and parents are recognizing this more and more. Libraries and schools are recognizing it. When you tell someone something's wrong as a child, they're like, okay, but if you put them in that place, if you build empathy, it totally just changes everything. So for adults, tie the immigration in to what's happening in the world today, sure, but if you want to really hit them with why the book is needed for kids, lean on empathy, because that is absolutely going to matter to parents, because we all want our kids to grow up and be good people. We want them to have a heart that feels for other people. So good luck. I love your new cover. It is gorgeous. I know, I saw it the other day. All right. And we've got Jill. I feel I have done all the legwork in writing my first book, but I'm getting very nervous about getting my book out and to make sure I'm doing it right. I've worked on my book for many years. I'm self-publishing, but I feel like I'm not the expert. Do you think I should just go for it and publish it myself and see how things go? Or do you think I should wait and learn more about self-publishing? What do most self-publishers do? Jill, you're not alone. I promise you, you're not. And the thing is that if you talk to any self-published author who has published books before, they will tell you that their first book was a learning experience from the writing phase all the way through the actual pub date and into marketing. You'll stumble. You'll make mistakes. You will sometimes make costly mistakes or things that you'll have to go back and fix. That's okay, because as long as you are willing to do the legwork, you're willing to talk to people, you're willing to integrate yourself in groups who know more than you or who are willing to kind of give you a hand up when you need it, that's what matters. So I think it's important that you just take each step as it is. Make sure that you are leaning on experts. Self-publishing does not mean that you literally do everything on your own. Self-publishing means that you have control of your published title. So lean on experts. Have you gotten an editor, a professional editor? Have you used a proofreader? Have you used a professional formatter or gone through a program like Vellum or something that has these templates? Have you gotten a cover design done by a professional? People think that professional has to mean outrageously expensive, and that's not true. There are many people in different areas of professionalism that have great pricing, or maybe you can just learn from them depending on where you're at. So don't be overwhelmed by self-publishing and thinking that you have to be the editor and the proofreader and the cover designer. That's not true, and actually I don't recommend it, because if no one else has eyes on your book before it's published, you're bound to miss things. I mean, I was doing cover copy with a client of mine the other day. We spelled the word villain wrong. Why? Because we just stared at it for so long. We were doing this for a while and we spelled a really mainstream word wrong. Her dad read it and caught it and we're like, oh my gosh, did we really do that? And that's why it takes a community. Even if you're self-publishing, you need a community to help you. So don't stall up, but make sure that you're reaching out to people in your community to learn and grow and get through the whole big bad self-publishing project. And I think that you're doing awesome. I love that. Randy's saying, welcome to the club. My advice is to just dive in and self-publish and hire new shelves to help you. This is why we like Randy. We liked you before, Randy. Let's be honest. All right. Another question, how can I properly send my media press kit to indie bookstores or reach out to them? So let's talk about bookstores right now. Weird time, right? Not all of them are open, although we are seeing more and more open. So if you want to reach out to indie bookstores, the first thing I would do is don't send in blind. Please go to their website, look at the store, see if they're open, see if they've made a closing announcement, anything like that. I think it's very important right now that we realize that a lot of indie bookstores, they are run by families, they're run by small groups who've been there for a long time, and they may be feeling the pinch right now. So first, make sure they're open, and then if they are, reach out to them individually. Tell them how your book fits in. Tell them why you think your book would help their sales, and then tell them that you want to help market the book and send people to them. When you're working with the indie bookstores, many of them, if they're working with local authors or self-published authors, they are looking for a partnership. They're looking for someone who will help them market their bookstore, and that is why they carry your book. So keep that in mind. What way can you add value? What way can you be an asset or a friend to them? Once you find that, tell them, just put it out there in an email. Hi, my name is Keri. I've just recently written a book about the hearing impaired, and I think this is so underappreciated in our community, and there are blank amount of hearing impaired people in our area. I think they could really value from this, and I'd love to start marketing this book and sending them to a local bookstore. Are you willing to partner with me? Is this a book you would consider? And do it that way. Then you send your kid over, or you ask them, may I send you more information, and see what they say. I like when I'm sending a pitch email to end my email with a question. Why? Because if people ask you a question, it is human nature, it's just your jerk response to want to reply. Even if they're going to reply and say, no, thank you, having an open-ended question at the end is very likely to get you more of a response than just spouting information. Ask how you can help them. Ask questions about them and their store, and take a real interest. And that will get you so much further than just a, here's my kit. Make it open-ended. Okay. Oh, Victoria, you are asking about the website with the free online planner. Victoria, that is Trello, Trello, Trello.com. Put it right in there. All right. Get through here. Jim is asking about the list mentioned on thebookdesigner.com, and that list, it was a do this, not that virtual book tour. Let's see, I think I wrote that article in May. Let's see if I can find it. And for those of you that do not follow Joel Friedlander on The Book Designer, you absolutely should. He is awesome. He's got so much great online information. He's a big supporter of indie authors and publishers. So if you're not following him, I highly recommend that you do. We love Joel. All right. Oops. Here we go. I've actually got the link, so I will post the link right in our chat box. There you go. And which blog tours do you recommend for nonfiction? Nonfiction is hard. I think many of them will actually tell you it depends very specifically on your book, and that they may do a book blitz better, which is where they just have everyone who is willing talk about your book, but not necessarily review it or do an extended blog tour. However, if you're looking for nonfiction, Off the top of my head, I think I Read Book Tours might be the best for you. And also consider, rather than a blog tour that is traditional in the book community, consider going, I know your book's about relationships, consider going and finding relationship blogs or blogs by people in that kind of sphere, and see if they'd be willing to have you write a guest article, a Q&A, book giveaways. Tell them you'll give them a copy of your book so they can give it away or something like that. So for that specifically, if you're in nonfiction, especially self-help nonfiction, and you're having a hard time finding a blog tour that fits for you, go create one. Go find people who are already blogging about your topics, and then see if you can work together, do some cross promotion, and say, I'll help provide content. I'll write an article. I'll share it with my community. Are you willing to talk about my book? Let me have a byline that talks about my book and has a sale link, something like that. So that may be a better option for you for a nonfiction book. All right, I've got to go over to email because, like I said, we got a lot of questions over there. So give me a second here. We had great questions. And you can still drop your questions in the Q&A. All right. Free Advice Friday question. How do you determine which keywords will help your rank? You get 7 metadata keywords in the back of your KDP listing. And Wendy is saying, my 7 are very similar, but they do end up on page 1, even with 100,000 searches, which is great. Keep in mind, when you're doing your metadata keywords, now KDP allows you to have not just keywords, but keyword phrases. So you can go ahead and put, I believe it's up to 50 characters. So if your keywords are health, relationships, food, could you possibly put it together and say how to have a healthy relationship with food or healthy relationship with food? If you have a exercise book, could you say exercise and nutrition program? How many keywords can you fit in there? And I think that's what's important. Also, go search the keyword you're thinking of using. How many books come up? Are they similar to yours? Does it kind of feel right? When you're typing in the search bar, does it automatically generate? Because you guys, when you're on Amazon and you are searching something and you know how the suggestions start popping up, that's because they are common searches. Take note of that. Definitely matters. So be specific, but use as more keywords than just one in each of the 7 spots, and go try out your keywords and see what Amazon's suggesting, see what kind of search comes up, and make sure you're not so specific. Health and fitness, great, huge amount of searches. If you are saying health and fitness for women 52 to 55, probably not as much. So make sure that you're being targeted, but not so specific that you kind of put yourself out of the game. And I know there was another question. How do you find low competition categories? We get this question all the time. So when you're finding your categories for your book, people like the low competition categories because you tend to rank higher, which gives you an algorithm boost, and you're more likely to hit #1. My best suggestion for your categories is find books that are similar to yours and go search what categories they are in and how they're ranking. And narrow it down. Do not go and find some erroneous category and just put your book in there. I mean, even if you hit #1, if I have a book that is a historical romance and I hit #1 in litigation in small cities, I totally made that up, but let's just say hit litigation in small cities, do I really want to, like, am I proud of that? Am I going to say, oh, I hit #1 in this category? Probably not, because I didn't deserve it. So make sure that you are finding categories that legitimately can be cohesive with your book, but that they are niched down. So rather than just putting your book into romance, can you do historical romance? Can you do Victorian era romance? Can you do 1800 romance. Like there are so many different categories, and the best way to find these very small niche down kind of hidden categories is to go look at the comps. Go look at the comps that are like yours and see what categories they're in, because many times what happens is if these books are bestsellers, Amazon will automatically start putting them in certain smaller categories, and that way you can find them and you can add them to your own as well. Let's see. You guys always crack me up. I love the comments here. All right. So many great questions. Yeah, so we have a question from Bobby, and Bobby is asking, would it be confusing to have a Facebook page with the same name of my book? Bobby, please do not make a Facebook page with the name of your book. And here's why. If you write 5 more books, you have to have 5 more pages, and that's going to get overwhelming quickly. I always recommend that rather than setting your Facebook professional page to the book name or the series name, make it your name. Make it Bobby M. author, or make it your full name, make it your pen name. Make it your name rather than your book title if you can. Now, if you know, I am writing under my company's name, and I'm only ever going to write about this one topic, you can make it your company name. Just make sure that whatever you're picking is evergreen and it could work for more than one book and one title. You absolutely do not want to have a Facebook page for every single book. You will be working 10 times harder than if you have a single spot for all your books. So think in the long term, even if you're like, I just finished this book and it's a bit like having a baby, I'm not going to have another one for a while, but give it a year and maybe you'll change your mind. So make sure that you just think for the long term and name your Facebook pages, your social profiles, your website in the long term so that you can use them continually. All right. And let's see. We had some great questions from Terry about Draft to Digital. So Draft to Digital, we talk about it a lot. Draft to Digital is a online platform that allows you to upload your ebooks, and they have great relationships with places like Baker and Taylor for library ebooks, Overdrive, Kobo, and Barnes and Noble online. So if you want ebook distribution outside of Amazon, I highly recommend Draft to Digital as a way to get your distribution widened for your ebook. Now, Terry's question was talking about their beta program. So right now, Draft to Digital is doing a beta program for print books. They're talking about going into print, and so that may be an option down the road. They've also just recently introduced Vivlio, which is a company in Europe. They have introduced Kobo Plus in Canada. Like, they're really making moves. And they're also the sister company for Find Away Voices. So Draft to Digital, obviously, it's growing. It's becoming a player in the industry. And Terry asked, do you think that Draft to Digital will become a strong leader and front runner in paperback printing distribution for the self-published author as well as digital? Terry, I don't know. They've been in beta testing for quite a while. I do know that their platform's growing, that they're becoming more and more trusted. And so we'll see in time. I haven't personally met anyone who's used their print beta program that's been in it, but I am very interested to see what happens. I think what we will see is that if anything, they may be a contender more like Ingram Spark. I do not think they will ever replace KDP because KDP is tied to Amazon, which is a huge selling platform. So I don't think they're going to push KDP out, but they may be a contender right there along with Ingram Spark. So we'll see about that as it happens down the road. And the follow-up question was, Do you think that Drafted Digital will give self-publishing authors a reasonable fair shake in compensation and distribution, more so than their competition? Here's the thing. I know that a lot of people think that Ingram Spark and places like that take a lot of an author's money, but this is what I want you to consider. We call it POD math, print on demand math. When you go with, let's say, Ingram Spark, what happens is they print your book, and their prices tend to be fairly close to KDP. I'd say it's pretty common. And then Ingram Spark charges a 15% fee to get your book into wholesalers. They are acting much like into Ingram Wholesale. That's pretty standard for a distributor. They get your book into Ingram specifically, and then they, it goes out from there. Who takes the most money, or where the most money comes from, is that when you're doing this, you set a discount for retail stores, and it's a steep discount. So when you look at all the places that take, it's not so much that the current printing and distribution model that there's anyone that's super greedy. It's that this person takes a little, then this person takes a little, and then this person, and then the bookstore. But then you think, man, the bookstore gets a 40% discount. That's huge. But that bookstore has to have a place to put your book. So they have to have a store, which comes with rent. They have to have employees to sell your book, and employees aren't cheap. So you've got to pay those. You have to pay for your utilities, your marketing, your website. So suddenly you see that these costs add up, and that is just covering their expenses. So what happens is that bookstores actually only make a couple bucks. You only make a couple bucks. The wholesale, the distributor, the printer, they all make a couple bucks. So it kind of rations out that way. So if Drafted Digital does get into the market of print on demand model and then distributing to different wholesalers, and who knows, maybe they will go outside of Ingram and they will use the same model to get into places like Baker and Taylor or Brodart. I don't know, but I think we will see similar pricing no matter what. I don't think that they can cut their costs that much down and still be a profitable company. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I'm really excited to see what happens with that. Thank you, Terry, for the idea. I did reach out to the folks over at Drafted Digital and ask if anyone would want to join us on Free Advice Friday. So if you also want that to happen, highly recommend, if you'd like to see if we can get them on here for a Q&A, go over to Drafted Digital and ask them. Say that we want them on Free Advice Friday. Maybe if more people ask, they'll come. But I think it would be fun. I think we've got a good group for it. So we shall see. But really great points. And Drafted Digital is definitely on our radar to watch as far as industry news and things that are up and coming. And we've loved them for years. They're really great there. All right, you guys, it's almost 11, so I've got a couple more questions to get through. If we didn't hit your question today, I'm so sorry. We had so many questions. So if we didn't hit it today, please know you can always email your questions into us at questions@freeadvicefridays.com. We do save those, and then we answer them the following week as we can. So I'm going to put that right in here, questions@freeadvicefridays.com. And we take those every week. So you can always send those in. And we do a replay. Usually it comes out a couple days after our live show. We do a replay over on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to YouTube, go join that. And let's see, a couple more questions. On Amazon ads, is there any place you can see an impression of your ad other than the example when you're setting it up? Denise, that's really hard, because if you're doing a sponsored keyword ad, every time that your book shows up in a search, it's kind of random because there are these little bots and you're bidding on the word. So you can literally take your keyword and take one of your keywords and type it in the search bar, and you may not find your book because maybe you didn't win that specific bid. So you can try taking your keywords and searching them to see if it will come up. Sometimes it will, every once in a while. It might take a lot of time to get there, but if you got time and you're that curious, you can try. Just keep in mind, Don't click on your own ad. I had one client, absolutely hilarious, asked me to set up Amazon ads for them, and so I did. And then they went and they searched every keyword multiple times, had their whole family doing it, and then they were clicking on her own ads, and they used up her budget really quickly because they were clicking on their own ads. So don't do that. Take a look, but don't click. I know it's tempting. Let me see. And is there a way to determine how many books I've sold since it published several years ago? Yes, you guys, if you don't have an Author Central account, if you've published a book and you don't have an Author Central account, go get one. I think it's amazon.authorcentral.com, but you can Google it, Google everything. So Author Central, go on there and you can claim your author profile. You can claim your books. You just have to go to the book tab and type in the ISBN or the title, what have you, and claim your book. Then there is a sales tab or a sales rank tab. And if you go there, your book scan numbers for your print books, not ebooks, sorry, but your print books are right there. They will tell you how many books have been reported nationally for your book sales. So you can track it from, I believe it reports a week behind, but usually they've got information back there for, years. So if you're curious, if you kind of want to just see, or even if you're not self-published, if you have a traditional publisher, an indie publisher, someone else publishing your book, you can still check your reported book sales on BookScan. So make use of it. Author Central has a lot of cool things, and that's one of my favorites for sure. All right, I've got one last question up here. Let's see. All right. One last question. So I'm so close to the launch of my humor gift book. I have a weekly newspaper column in 12 or so papers. The book is based around that column. My question is, after social media, Facebook and Instagram, my email list, newspaper notices, and blurbing column, what or who is the best to take over the marketing? I'm not savvy in all these things you speak about. Well, that depends, Trina. If you want someone to work with in an ongoing way, like you have a lot of ideas, but you don't have the time, a VA may be great for you, or a college student who's looking for an extra side job or to kind of learn more marketing. If you are looking for ongoing marketing in a bigger scale or someone to help you come up with a plan, you need a marketing company. And I happen to know one, New Shelves. I hear they're decent. So if you have questions about a larger marketing plan or theory, newshelves.com, yeah, you might check them out. And if you are just looking for someone to implement your plan, again, you might be looking for a college student, a high school student, someone like a VA. I highly recommend, of course, that you pay them. I'm not saying you don't pay them, but that might be the kind of support you need rather than a full-out marketing program. You may also be looking at someone who does PR. So someone who is an actual PR person to get you into the media, radio. Annie Jennings actually does very, very well with radio, so that might be an option. You can go through podcast pitching. It just depends on what you want to do with the book and what your marketing goals are. So check it out there. And we are at the end, you guys. And again, if I didn't get to your questions, please email them in. Questions@freeadvicefridays.com so we can get to them next week. Actually, next week we have Annalisa Parent who will be here. Guys, she's amazing. If you have written a book and you're wondering, should I go professionally or traditionally published? If you want her, she's just a powerhouse in the industry for writing and refining. So be here next week. And if you have questions for Annalisa, please, please, please send them in to us early. We will be making sure that we have all of that ahead of time. So please make sure that you do that. Check Annalisa's site out, Date with the Muse. is her company. That's where she runs out of. So check it out, check her out, get your questions together for us next week. And if you want to email them in early, that would be fabulous. Again, questions at freeadvicefridays.com. And I'm going to drop in Annalisa's website right here. Yes, we love Annalisa. She's fun and she's funny and she just knows so much. It's crazy. So check her out. Be here, bring your questions for us. And also we still do have a podcaster who's going to do some Q&A for us as well. So if you have questions about podcasting, whether your book's a good fit, how to pitch your book, all those types of things, send those in as well. Thank you for joining us. This was so much fun. I hope that you come back next week. Join us in our Facebook group if you want to connect with other authors and see how you maybe can do some cross promotion or business building there. freeadvicefridays.com. You've got all the links there. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful weekend and we'll see you next week. Bye.